There is a man running. He is not running to catch a bus or for exercise. He is running for land, as much land as he can claim before the sun sets. And as his legs give out, as his lungs tear open, as the blood fills his throat, he crosses the finish line, and then he dies. His grave is dug right there on the spot, 6 feet long, 3 feet wide, and that is how much land a man actually needs. The famous writer, Leo Tolstoy, wrote this story in 1886, and somehow it has never been more relevant than it is in our modern times. Before we talk about Pakhom, the man at the center of this story, let's talk about the man who wrote it. Leo Tolstoy was not a poor man writing about poverty. Tolstoy was one of the wealthiest landowners in Russia. He had estates, serfs, horses, and orchards. And yet, by the time Tolstoy sat down to write this short parable, he had undergone a profound transformation. Philosopher Tolstoy had become disgusted by ownership, not just his own, but the very concept. Tolstoy was against the idea that a human being could look at the earth, this ancient, living, breathing thing that existed long before us and will exist long after, and say, "This is mine." He called private property one of the great moral diseases of civilization. So he wrote a story. How much land does a man need? A simple, brutal, yet unforgettable story. It's a story about a man named Pakhom. Pakhom is a peasant. He works hard. He is not a bad man. He has a wife, a home, a small plot of land. Life is difficult, but manageable, until one day, a conversation changes everything. His wife's sister visits from the city and brags about urban life. Pakhom's wife pushes back, says peasant life is simpler, better, more honest. And Pakhom, overhearing all this, thinks to himself, "Our only trouble is that we don't have enough land." Pakhom says, "If I had plenty of land, I wouldn't fear the devil himself." Tolstoy is giving us a warning right here in the opening paragraphs, because the devil is actually listening, as devil is in the room, and he smiles. Soon after, Pakhom gets his first piece of land, a small plot. It is wonderful. He is content for a moment, but then a neighbor's cows wander onto his field. Horses trample his crops, and someone cuts down his trees. Seeing all this, Pakhom, who was once content, starts fighting. He files complaints, takes people to court. He wins some cases and loses other. But with every battle, something hardens inside him. Pakhom starts to believe that if only he had more land, a bigger buffer, none of this would happen. So he moves. He sells everything and relocates to a new settlement where land is cheap and plentiful. This time he gets 100 acres. That is more than he ever imagined owning. And for a brief, glorious moment, he is again satisfied. But then one day, Pakhom hears about the Bashkirs, nomadic people on the open steppe. Simple, generous, and warm. And they have land, so much land that you could not walk around it in a year. A passing merchant tells Pakhom he bought 13,000 acres for just 1,000 rubles, practically nothing. And here is where Tolstoy twists the knife. Pakhom does not think, "I have enough. I am grateful." Pakhom thinks, "Why am I paying so much here when I could get so much more for so much less?" Now, the disease has fully taken hold of him. Pakhom travels for days, hundreds of miles, to reach the Bashkir settlement. The Bashkirs are generous beyond expectation. They welcome him with feasts, kumis, mutton, music. They are happy people. They have no need for more. Their elder makes Pakhom a simple offer. Walk as much land as you like, from sunrise to sunset, and all the land you can walk around in a single day will be yours. However, Elder says, there is one condition: that you must return to the spot where you started before the sun sets. If you fail to return, you will get nothing. Pakhom asked, "The price?" Elder replied, 1,000 rubles, a fixed fee. Pakhom cannot sleep that night. He lies in his tent imagining the circuit he will walk. He will go out wide, very wide, and claim the most fertile pieces: the river bend, the lush meadow, the rich black soil. He dreams, and in the dream, he sees himself lying dead. He wakes up, shakes it off. It was just a dream. At dawn, Pakhom climbs a small hill. The elder places his fox fur cap on the ground and says, that is the starting point. That is where he must return. The sun rises. Pakhom starts walking. At first, his pace is easy. The land is beautiful. He marks corners with a spade every time he turns. He is walking a great square. This is the plan. But the land keeps calling to him. Just a little further. Look at that meadow. Too good to leave out. See that hollow. Perfect for hemp. Come, go a little wider. And so he does. A little more. And then a little more. By midday, he is far, very far, from the starting point. He looks at the sun. It is already past the midpoint of the sky. Pakhom's stomach drops. He has gone too far. Now Pakhom must run. Not jog, not hurry. Run! The sun is descending. The Bashkirs are distant shapes standing on the hill by the fox fur cap. The elder is watching. Pakhom runs. His feet are bleeding. His lungs are burning. His mouth gets dry. The sun is touching the horizon. A great red disk slipping away. Pakhom started thinking, I have ruined myself. I have gone too far. I have always gone too far. But he does not stop. He runs and runs. The Bashkirs begin to cheer. He can hear them now. They are shouting, waving, willing him forward. He sees the cap. He sees the elder. The last ray of sunlight flickers on the horizon, and Pakhom falls. His hands reach the cap. He has made it. The elder kneels beside him and says, "Oh, that was a fine piece of work." But Pakhom does not answer. His servant tries to lift him. There is blood on his lips. He is dead. His servant picks up the spade that Pakhom had used to mark the corners of his land and digs a grave. 6 feet long, 3 feet wide, just enough to bury him in. And that is exactly how much land a man needs. In reality, Elder was the devil, who again and again trapped Pakhom in his greed. This story is often read as a simple warning about greed. Don't be greedy. Don't want too much. But Tolstoy is doing something deeper here. He is not just criticizing Pakhom. He is criticizing the entire system of thought that tells us more land, more money, more things, more achievement, equals more life. Pakhom was not a bad man. He was a hard-working man who had been taught that the path to security leads through ownership. That more means safer, more means freer, more means better. And every time he got more, he was briefly content. And then the horizon shifted again. This is the trap Tolstoy is drawing. Not just greed, the constant belief that what you have right now is not quite enough, and that somewhere else, some more, some larger, is where real life is waiting. Tolstoy is describing what we now call the hedonic treadmill, the psychological mechanism that resets our satisfaction no matter how much we gain. But Tolstoy saw it 140 years before the research existed. He saw it because he had lived it. He was the man who had everything, and felt compelled to give it all away. In today's modern world, we all are Pakhom. We just don't run across the steppe anymore. We run across different terrain. We run toward the next salary grade, next house, next car, and the next achievement. The next version of ourselves that will, finally, be enough. Tolstoy's question is not just how much land does a man need. His real question is, when will you stop? And the answer most of us give is, not yet, not quite yet. There is something else in this story that gets overlooked. The Bashkirs. These are people with more land than Pakhom could ever imagine. They are not trying to own their land. They are living on it. Tolstoy is showing us two ways of relating to the earth. One is possession. One is presence. Pakhom possesses and dies. However, the Bashkirs are present and live. That contrast is not accidental. It is the whole point. Here is what I keep coming back to. The moment Pakhom stood on that hill at dawn, before the running, before the desperation, he had already won. He had food, shelter, and a family. He had walked hundreds of miles and found people who welcomed him with open arms and offered him more than he needed. The gift was already there, but he could not see it because he was looking past it, toward the horizon, toward the next corner, next piece, and next more. Tolstoy buried him with 6 feet of earth, not as punishment, as a mirror, because that 6 feet is honest in a way that none of our wanting ever is. It says, this is all you ever needed. The only question is whether you figure that out while you are still alive to live it. If this video made you think, sit with it for a moment before you scroll to the next thing. Ask yourself, what is your step? What corner are you still running toward? That's all for today's video. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more empowering content. Thanks for watching.